Okay, I'm here with Max Fagin. How do you pronounce your name?
Fagin.
Fagin. Okay, I'm here with Max Fagin today. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you doing?
Good. So, uh, so I saw your talk at the Mars Society convention last year. It was pretty good, interesting. How about you tell us a little about that?
Thank you. Well, that was a preliminary report on some research that I'm doing for my master's thesis here at Purdue on on entry, descent, and landing technologies for high mass Mars payloads. Obviously, the main limiting factor, at least as I see it, in human exploration of Mars, is the lack of any feasible architecture to land something big enough to support human beings on Mars. The largest thing we've landed on Mars currently is the Mars Science Lab, which was only 1 metric ton. Um, even reasonably conservative architectures like Mars Direct still require landing something on the order of 20 tons on the surface of Mars. And even the way Mars One is cutting it, that's still at least 10 tons to land on Mars. So that's an order of magnitude bigger than what we currently have the demonstrated capacity to do. So until we solve that problem, humanity unfortunately is not landing on Mars. So I'd like to think of my thesis as a small part of solving that problem.
Okay. Yeah. 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 I understand you just read. Um, you've done an internship with people who sent 3D printers into space. What can you tell us about that?
That's right. So the internship was with the firm Made in Space at the NASA Ames Research Center in California. So yeah, they're the firm which produced the 3D printer, which is on the International Space Station right now. It was operating for the last couple of months, printed a couple of test specimens, printed a piece of itself as its first print, which was very cool. The printer needed kind of a cowling for itself, so it printed itself one. And then at the request of one of the astronauts, it printed the first tool in space. It's a torque ratchet. One of the astronauts requested a torque ratchet rated to a certain torque. And so the guys at Made in Space designed, certified, and emailed it up to the International Space Station in less than a week. So that's just a huge game changer in terms of logistics in space, because conventionally, if you need something in space, it can take months, even years to get it up there, because you have to wait until the next launch window opens up or the next spacecraft becomes available. With the printer on station now, though, it is possible to get hardware to the International Space Station as quickly as email.
That's pretty cool. So, are you working on any projects now outside of your master's thesis?
Yes, I am. I'm working on a project which has been going on for the last 5 years or so. This is kind of my, I kind of call it my sandbox project. It's how if I want to try out a new technique in MATLAB, for example, this is the project that I'll practice it on. It's code which simulates the behavior of a space elevator if the tether is cut in a certain point. So not much practical application yet, and probably not for several decades at least, but still a very complicated problem. That involves forces of you have to program aspects of dynamics, material science, aerodynamics, astrodynamics, all sorts of really interesting physics to model in one common program, and it allows me to play with any. It allows me a program that I can play with to develop any new skills that I want to without damaging anything, like my actual thesis code, something I don't want to run any potentially irreversible experiments on. So I've been working on that for the last 5 years or so, and now that I'm out of internships and back in school and have a little bit of more time available, I'm focusing a lot more on that. I'm hoping that it'll turn into maybe a paper sometime in the future, but it's not really the type of work that gets published very often.
That's pretty cool. So, do you see yourself getting into outer space yourself someday?
Absolutely. I mean, if not through Mars One, then through the conventional astronaut corps, or even buying my way through on whatever colonial program that SpaceX is able to assemble. I mean, we have to remember Mars One is a long shot at this point. You know, the amount of money that they're saying it can be done for is completely unrealistic. So we have to realize that expect that counting on Mars One is somewhat irresponsible. You have to there's nothing wrong with hoping it'll work, and there's nothing wrong with planning around the possibility of it working. But realistically speaking, no, it's just one of many alternatives that I hope to get into space.
Right. So, how do you think your future career plans will work out if you never make it into space?
Well, if I never make it into space, there's still many equally validating ways to help. There's building the hardware, there's designing the hardware, there's being ground support for the hardware. They're not what I want to do personally, but they're still just as satisfying in a somewhat different way. So as long as I am working actively to make humanity multiplanetary, preferably by opening Mars to colonization, I'll be more than happy with the life that's spent doing that.
Awesome. That's about all I have for now. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Not particularly. That kind of hits all the relevant bases with me.
Awesome. Thanks, Max.
Okay, take care, Heidi.
You too.